Hello, everybody. It's Adam Bricker from the Florida Power Team. Pleasure to be with you today. I have an amazing guest from Tony Robbins' team. We have Stephen Tuhig. Stephen, welcome to the interview.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Adam, for having me. We've been trying to get this going. I've been really excited for this ever since we first connected. Geez, what's it been? 3-4 months? We've been trying to make this happen.
I remember the day because that was the day my wife went into the facility for her surgery, and yesterday she was declared able to walk and to drive a car. So perfect timing. It took that length to put it together.
Yes.
It's been about 6 months now that I've been hosting the Florida Power Team and a group of great Tony Robbins grads, and we work on different skills together. But now we're getting excited because Date with Destiny just finished, and now it's time for Business Mastery in the new year of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's a different program. I know it's not for everybody. Can you go ahead and just tell everybody what the program is and who should be there?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you don't mind, I'm going to stand up. I get a little animated.
Go.
So Business Mastery is not meant, and Tony's kind of suggested the best way to explain it, especially for people that have been to Date with Destiny, it's a lot like Date with Destiny on steroids for business leaders. And I get people on the phone all the time. I go, okay, well, is Business Mastery right for me? And the best way to explain it is that, 95% of the population, they want to get up in the morning, they want to get in their car, they want to drive down the road 3 blocks, they want to pull in the office, they want to do A, B, and C. Right? That's going to give them XYZ paycheck. They get 2.5 kids, husband or a wife, cat, a dog, maybe both, buy a home, take a vacation, retire. That's what most people want. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But about 3 to 7% of the population, the first thing they do is they learn to go off-road. I don't need your corporate infrastructure. I don't need your product offering. I don't need any help from anybody else. I can go generate value and create currency, generation, currency. There's a correlation there, right? Without any help from anybody else. But for them to truly feel what it feels to be a true business owner, they got to learn how to build roads. Because if they don't learn how to build roads, absolutely nobody can get to where they're at. Business Mastery is not designed for the 95%. It's not designed for those off-roaders. It's designed for that percentage of people that either A, it's time for me to move from business operation to business ownership, or B, those people that have built roads that for some reason, they're just not working for me. Is that an answer for you?
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And great answer for the public as well, for the people listening. What do they expect when they go in? And is this for people who have that thriving business already set up, or people just getting started?
That's a great question. I'm going to have in this room coming up, we've got everything from your multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation all the way down to your one-man army and literally everything in between. I've got people that are coming that are just getting started. I've got people that are on their way out and they want to make sure that they exit well. And I've got, every industry you could possibly think of. I think I told you I talked to a pickle farmer the other day. So it is literally, and the way that Tony builds the program, it's not like a typical, like when 2008 happened, see, Tony's got a timeline. He said, I want to spend a certain amount of time in personal development. Then he's going to transition into business development. And then he was going to transition into national development and then into global development. Well, when 2008 happened, we got sent on a fact-finding mission. And what we came back with was pretty disturbing. We found out really there's only really 2 types of trainings out there. The first thing is your cookie cutter approach, which is good for a certain type of business. It's, fill in the blanks, you got a ready-made business, right? And that's good for, again, a certain type of company. And then you have this other piece that's your theory-based, your MBAs, your Michael Porter's 5 Forces, game theory, competitive analysis, stuff like that. That's great from a theory perspective, but then when you try to grab it and plug it into the real world, many times stuff gets lost in translation. Well, we took all of our information, we handed it off to him, and he, one of Tony's geniuses, and there's several, right? But one of them is he's got the ability to take massive amounts of data and then digest it and metabolize it and then systemize it. So Business Mastery is a 5-day facilitation that he calls an active program. So what he does is he brings you in, and if you have a business, he puts it up on blocks, strips it down to the bare bones, and then carves it into 7 key areas and drills down into one of those areas and says, each one of those areas, and says, okay, what's working and what's not working, why is it working and why is it not working? And then he rebuilds you, optimizing you for the road ahead. So it's like trying to explain what the color 7 smells like, because when people come into a business training, they have an expectation that they're going to come in and they're going to learn these strategies and tools and tactics. And we do that. That is definitely there, and it's done it. I mean, we've got Jay Abraham, who's a marketing savant, right? He's $14 billion man. But, like we were talking about earlier, we were talking about losing weight. Well, 1 out of 4 people in the United States is either overweight or obese. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't throw a rock. You can't phone a friend. You can't walk down the street without seeing a strategy that's effective. And many of them are, will work if you're consistent and you're persistent enough. So it's never from a lack of strategy that something, business fails. And I've seen Tony now facilitate hundreds of thousands of businesses, and the bottleneck of any business only breaks down to 2 things, and that's the skill set or the mindset of the leader. So, we're going to plug in, and it's 80% psychology. So we're going to plug in, and Tony's going to blow them blocks away right away, and then he's going to dig in. He's going to go, but let's do this. And the way that he builds, it's the 7 forces framework. We were talking earlier, success loves sequence, and doing the right thing in the right way has geometric results, but doing the right things in the wrong way or in the wrong order can destroy a business.
Yeah.
So what Tony has created, he's created a business philosophy, a business framework, a way of looking at your business that gives you the ability to get what we call active data so that you can create what I call functional strategy. It's not a theory. It's not your cookie cutter approach. It's I'm here. I want to be here. Here's the terrain that stands between me. Here's the path to get me there, so that you have a very logical process that you go through on a day-by-day basis, as opposed to what most business leaders are doing. They make a to-do list, and then they get up in the morning and they get busy doing. That's what they do. They get busy doing, and they're spending 80% of their day focused in their business, and if they're lucky, they spend 20% on their business. And then what ends up happening is they come to me and they go, well, I don't have any time in the day. You don't have any time in the day because you're not making any space. You don't have a framework to look at your day that gives you what we call the ability to anticipate the road ahead, or high beam awareness. You can see farther down the road. You go, oh, okay, I'm headed this way, but there's a dead end up here. I think I need to move over here. That's not what they're doing. And then what happens is we get 2008, and then they jump out of the car and you start yelling at the guy fixing the road like he somehow has something to do with why you ended up at a dead end, right? We want to anticipate that dead end before you get there, so that you're in a winter like we are now, instead of you freezing, you're skiing.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's amazing. It's when you don't know what you don't know, you think cookie cutter approach, but that never happens that way with Tony, and everybody we're working with has a lot of experience working with Tony already, through both UPW and Date with Destiny. What process in the business? It's people, I guess you already said, people who are just starting, people who are into it, people who want to have better results than they ever dreamed they could have? Well,
it's hard because what we use is we use the power of immersion, cross-pollination, and networking. And what that means is, again, it's Tony Robbins. So the first day is going to go from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m., right? And you're going to get your first meal break, and then he's going to go 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And it's not like UPW. Like UPW, we get, 10, 20,000 people. Right now, Date with Destiny, we had 2,500 people, and then we had, I think, an additional 1,000 or so. I don't have the numbers in the Destiny Lounge. It's 3,500 people. Business Mastery, 1,600 people tops. I mean, it's a tiny room. It's like about 500 businesses. So we keep the room crisp. First off, Tony spends 75, 95% of the time in the crowd. So it's intense. I mean, you will at some point be able to reach out and grab it. I don't suggest you do. He's big, right? But it's that kind of program. So we use immersion because we're compressing decades into days. And then the other piece we use is what we call cross-pollination and networking. So, you stand up and you're a $5 million retail company. And Tony goes, okay, what business are you in? How's business? He starts diving down in. And when he starts diving down in, we may get a 10, 20, $30 million trucking company that stands up and says, you know what, Adam, we had that same problem over here, and here's how we solve it. And now what we've done is we've taken two leaders that under normal circumstances would have never had the opportunity to interact. We've made both leaders, both companies, both industries, really the economy stronger from the interaction. And so we can't have too many of any certain thing in. What Tony always says is, first off, you got to be willing to do the work. You got to be willing to chop the wood, carry the water. You got to be willing to take a look, and you have to be willing to implement a framework. That's really, like I always tell people, if you walk away from nothing, if you walk away with nothing, you got to have that framework. You have to be able to know, as a leader in today's world, you have to be able to know what it is that you're going to be doing on a regular basis. Business in the real world is delivering on a promise. That's all business is, right? Well, so then we go, okay, well, here's the promise. We want to identify what is the promise you're delivering on. And then we go, okay, well, if this is the promise, then we start to look at everything that makes that promise tangible, the systems, the people, the USP, unique selling position, the exit strategy. We really want to make sure that when we structure this, we structure it in a way that's sound and sustainable and scalable long term. So we're always looking at, okay, if this is where you're at, where are you going? We're always looking at it so that when we're growing by design. And so if you don't have that framework in there, and you come to Tony Robbins, you get, like, people come to me, I go, what do you want? Well, I'd like to grow my business. Okay, well, what do you got? Well, I got $200,000, marketing company. Okay, well, how big do you want? I want to be $1 million. Okay, well, I wave my magic wand. You're now at $1 million. Oh, I can't handle the workload. I'm already too busy. Well, then your problem isn't that you want to grow. Your problem is that you're not ready to grow, right? And so we want to make sure that you're ready for the process as well. And then the other thing is that if you're suffering from something, like maybe you've got systems that aren't working, maybe you all of a sudden, like I had a guy, 50-year-old family-owned business, about $5 million business. He had enough working capital to make it to the end of the year, and he was broke, like broke. And in my humble opinion, when you've got what I call a legacy business, it was handed down to him by his father's father. When you have a legacy business, in my humble opinion, it's a much deeper level of responsibility, because if I fail, I've just failed my father's father. It isn't like I just tried something that didn't work. It was something that worked for my grandpa, worked for my dad, and doesn't work for me. So, they take it personal. So, and we bring them in and we start to look at, well, what part of these systems are not effective with today's world and where you find yourself at today.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. So leaders out there, if you are in the mode to grow your business, but you really need to grow yourself, your mindset and your skill set as a business leader, business mastery is something that you can consider. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that you know that we're not inviting you just to go alone. We want to take a group, because we have advantageous positioning strategies as a group, that once we get the full immersion process, that there's things that we can do together as power team members to get that information integrated into our business, so our skill set and our mindset can still continue to develop. Stephen, what do you have for us to work together after the actual event is over?
Well, and me and Adam we've kind of hatched out, well, what does this group need? Who is this group? And the Florida Power Team is one of those rare groups of people that or organizations that takes Tony's stuff, and really it's about the implementation. Like the value of the Florida Power Team, proximity is power, we all know that, but really, in my humble opinion, the value of the Florida Power Team is that, okay, now that you've got this, what are you going to do with it? And so what I think would be beneficial for this group is if we had a weekly or a bi-weekly conversation where we take one of the 7 forces, and we want to do them in order, and really dig in so that we can continue to hone, continue to dive down. And if there's any bottlenecks from an implementation standpoint, we're on the phone and we can work through it as a team. We can jar that loose. The other thing that I recommend that everybody go through is that 35 to 45 days out after we've graduated from the business mastery, I like to run what's called an integration call, where I get on the phone with you, and I've run now, I mean, I'm working on 10,000 of these. I mean, I'd have to be an idiot. 13 business masteries. I mean, 10,000 integration calls where I look at, okay, what are you doing? What have you implemented? How are you plugging this in? So that we can make sure that not only do you come through the 5-day event and get the process and get the framework, but when I get on the phone, what I want to do is I want to reach up and grab all that information you got from Tony and bring it into the real world so that it starts to gain root and take hold in a much quicker, more impactful way. So we do the integration calls 35, 40 days out, and then either once a week or once every other week as a group, I think we need to agree on that. I don't think that's something I should give you. I think that we should agree on, do we want to do it every week? Do we want to do it every other week? Where we go, okay, today we're going to be reviewing this force, and then next week, and we will go right in sequential order, just like Tony suggests and says, because here's the thing, it's the 7 forces. It's build a map. Where do you need to be on the map? How are you marketing where you're at on the map? How are you structuring the conversion process of the leads into revenue? How are you insulating that revenue? How are you optimizing all of this stuff? And then what is it all for? Which is to create what we call raving fan clients. That's basically the 7 forces in a much more layman's terms. Tony's got a much better labeling system for it. But what we do is we walk you through that process, and he actually facilitates an engagement in the room. And so he literally, it's his $1 million business consultation, but done in a group setting is what it is. And he strips the business down, rebuilds it through the 7 forces. And Tony always says, I'm giving them what they want so that I can really give them what they need, right? What you want is you want Tony to go, what do I need to do? He gives you that. Here's what you need to do. But what he's really giving you is what you really need, which is, again, that framework, the ability for you as a leader to walk into any business, in any economy, at any stage of development and say, okay, tell me about this, tell me about this, tell me about this, and be able to go, okay, this is what this business needs to get to the next level. I want you to master the game of business, not just succeed in it.
Outstanding. That's why it's business mastery.
Right.
So, Stephen, thank you so much. So we have a program for leaders, leadership development, business development, that's specifically focused on whatever business that you're coming in as. We're going to work on your mindset, and we're going to work on your skill set. And not only that, when we're done with the full immersion program, we'll have at least a 2-month process of integration that'll be group oriented, and a outstanding call with you, who you've done 10,000 of these already, and you have a whole network. So not only will we be networking with everybody else, we'll also get access to Stephen's network as well, where that's appropriate. I know how the people in Florida think. They're going to want to have a discount. So,
right.
I'm going to let them know it's going to be done on a group basis, but what can you tell them about that?
Well, yeah, and here's the thing. I normally would tell you no, just flat out no. And because this is, again, we offer a $1 million guarantee. We guarantee $1 million worth of value, and you justify that. We don't, right? You're going to go, okay, this, and this is going to save me or make me $1 million. Let's stick this out. Or, hey, I want my money back. Stephen was full of it, right? So usually I tell people there is no discount. It retails at $15K, I believe, and then once we approve down to 10. But because you guys are the Florida Power Team, I have arranged a fairly substantial discount, and I'm not going into it over the phone. You need to check in with Adam, because I can't have it broadcasted out. It has to be it's a group that you guys have a special rate because of everything you've done with Tony, because of the work that you're doing out in the real world. I mean, you guys are impacting your environment because of the way you've stuck together and because of who you are as human beings. Tony's authorized me to give you a discounted rate. But again, I'm not going to say it here. Contact Adam. He's got the numbers. He is the gatekeeper and can make sure that everybody gets enrolled. And he's not going to try to sell you. He's just going to give to you. It really is simply because I don't want this out on the air what the discount is, because it is that good of a discount.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know what it is, so I'm going to be very happy to share it with people that I want to network with, to share it with people that I want to grow with. It's going to be an incredible year. 2016 was a milestone year for me, and I'm looking to take that and share that with many other people. It was great. Any closing remarks? Oh, wait, I got to tell them it's January 19th to the 23rd.
Yes.
19th to the 23rd, 2017, and it's in West Palm Beach, Florida.
That's right, at the convention center. That's
Right.
right. And again,
you can stay at my house. I don't live anywhere near there, but you can stay at my house because it'll be open because I'll be up there.
That's right. You're going to be with us, so you're going to be hanging out with us. Yeah, it's January 19th through 23rd, and just like everything Tony does, you can guarantee that you're not going to get any sleep. You're not going to probably lose 10, 15 pounds at least while you're in the room from lack of food and jumping up and down, and it's going to be a rock show. You know, come January 19th, West Palm Beach will be the center of the universe when it comes to business development. And I always tell people, if you're not there, ask yourself, is my competition, could my competition possibly be there? And the reality is that with who you guys are, giving you this new tool, giving you this is the only place that teaches Tony's business consultation process. Giving you this new tool, there's also an expectation that this tool will then bleed out. It's like Tony says, each one teach one, right? We want to get this technology out, and you guys are the center of the universe right now in Florida when it comes to getting Tony's technology out. So first off, thank you, right, for everything that you do, Adam, and the rest of the Florida Power team. Thank you very much, guys, for what you do. I appreciate it. I'm on your guys' stuff. I watched. I see what you're doing, and I hope you have an unbelievable new year. And I look forward to being and hanging with you guys and seeing how much brighter we can make.
Well, thank you so much, Steve, and Happy New Year to you as well. Let everybody know our first Florida Power Team meeting of the new year is Thursday night. It's January 12th. It's at Matt's Place, and we all know what Matt's Place is. It's the Maximum Potential Institute right in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And then 1 week later, next Thursday night, January 19th, will be a Business Mastery. Hope you can join us. Thanks again, Stephen.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.